Right then, it's 25 to 4. It's BBC Radio Oxford and it's Friday. That means there are brand new movies out today. And movie critic Van Connor has already wrapped his eyes and ears around them. He's coming on now to talk about a couple of them. Are they worth seeing or are they best avoiding? Let's see what he thinks. Good afternoon and welcome back, Van Connor. How are you?
I'm all right, Mr. Blob. I'll be really honest. If I was going to wrap anything around anything during one of these movies, it's during our first one this week, in which I really wanted to wrap my forehead around the back of the chair in front of me over and over again. Like it was pretty grim. Let's start with that. And no one can see this, but I kind of love how we put this in the notes as to which one we were doing first here. So thanks for that. So Assassin Club, which is a new action movie from Camille Delamare, who was the director of the ill-fated Transporter reboot, Transporter Refueled, 5 or 6 years ago. This stars Henry Golding. Remember, like the Prince Charming, Prince Harry type figure in Crazy Rich Asians, way back when, like 5 years or so ago now. And he did that G.I. Joe prequel thing, Snake Eyes, a couple of years ago, which was better than I think we expected. And now he's done this, in which he's a hitman who gets hired to take out other hitmen who it turns out have been hired to take him out. So, yeah, I'm going to let Sam Neill... Go on.
It sounds a bit complicated, or is it quite easy to follow with that kind of storyline?
I mean, it's quite easy to follow. Look, everyone's going to try and kill everyone, but the last man standing gets a prize that's a lot of money. I mean, it's basically Highlander with money, if you really think about it. But I'm making it sound a lot more interesting than it actually is. Here, have a listen to the clip. This is Sam Neill kind of explaining how dumb this plot is.
There's a new job.
Yeah, I told you I'm out.
It's not that simple. It's 6 separate contracts, and each one pays $1 million.
Tell me about it.
They're assassins, Morgan, like you.
And they've been hired to kill me.
And each other. Fact is, Morgan, they were coming for you, whether you accept it or not. This is a game, and if you want to live, you have to play. Try not to reduce the splendid city to rubble.
Can't make any promises.
Well, we did chat about this briefly yesterday, and I pointed out that with a title like Assassin Club, it should be brilliant. And then you pointed out that every single movie that has got a title Assassin in it has actually always been a bit of a rubbish one.
Yeah, if we go with like Assassin's Creed, what was the other one we said? There was Assassin's Creed, Assassin Club, and American Assassin was the other one that had Michael Keaton as the mental figure. And that, for some reason, putting Assassin in the title always means the film is rubbish. Can't figure that one out. The other thing I can't figure out is, like, Henry Golding in this movie. I am the biggest Henry Golding fan. Like, please, this guy clearly needs to be a star. He has got genuine star appeal. Make him the Saint, or something like a Bond or the Saint. He has to be one of them. I will settle for Reggae Jean Page playing the other, and then we live in a perfect universe. But despite the fact that he has all this star appeal, he just can't seem to pick a vehicle that actually channels it. And then in the midst of all this is the fact that he himself can't seem to settle on an accent in which he's performing. So sometimes he just switches in the middle of a sentence. It's the weirdest damn thing. So he starts out sounding like the BBC travel presenter that he was and know him for, and, you know, the Crazy Rich Asians hunk, and then goes into that weird accent that he was putting on G.I. Joe Snake Eyes. You're like, what's going on here? You've then got the fact that no one else in the movie seems to be willing to try to act. Like, it does seem like, no, you've never seen, not since Jurassic Park 3, have you seen Sam Neill so readily just showing up to pick up a paycheck. It's depressing. And if you've sat through Jurassic Park 3 recently, I mean, yeah, it's so pedestrian, it takes you back to the early 2000s, like Prague set, Eastern European tax break heyday of all those suburban spy thrillers that they used to put out, things like Ballistic X vs. Sever, Bad Company, a lot of movies produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, only this isn't half as funny as any of them, and features about half as passable an action choreography.
Well, that's a bit of a shame. I mean, I did have high hopes for something called Assassin Club, but
I know, right?
Can't win them all. But
Yeah.
if you want to make your own mind up, is that in cinemas from today? I'm guessing it is.
It is, in fact, in cinemas from today. So, yeah. Technically, it's a threat.
Just make sure there's no one sat in the seat in front of you if you end up like that. All right. So I'm hoping the next movie we've got to talk about you enjoyed a little bit more.
I can tell you, I'm not going to bury the lead on this one. Absolutely. I had a good time with this one. So, Renfield, which is in cinemas from today. You'll have seen the posters with that very What We Do in the Shadows-like image of Nicolas Cage as Bela Lugosi's kind of style Dracula, like, you know, fingers wrapped over the dome of Nicholas Hoult as his familiar. So you've got Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Nicholas Hoult as the Familiar. The idea is that Dracula's been incapacitated and regenerating for a couple of years following like the attack by Van Helsing and the events of the original book. And in this time, Renfield, who exists on, bugs that give him a small amount of Dracula's powers, and thus immortality, moves the pair of them to New Orleans, shacks them up in a derelict hotel, and basically gets victims so that Dracula can feed and slowly rebuild himself. However, in the meanwhile, he's discovered the idea of a sense of self-worth. So he joins a support group for people struggling with codependency and toxic relationships and begins to address his relationship with his boss. Only for this to accidentally bring him into the crosshairs of a crime family and the vengeful side of the Count himself. There's a clip for you. Have a listen. This is just mental.
Renfield, this is codependency 101. A narcissist will take full advantage of a codependent's low self-esteem, but you're the one with the real power. And all you gotta do is take it back.
How do I do that?
Focus on your needs.
I mean, I just haven't thought about any of my needs in years.
But if you were to stop focusing on his needs, what would happen?
If I don't,
Yeah, what would happen? Stop focusing on his needs, what would happen?
he won't grow to full power.
Exactly. He won't grow to full power. What? That's so weird. Why would you phrase it like that? But yes, he's right.
Just honestly, this sounds brilliant. I've seen some of the images as well, and I've got to say, I am loving the teeth. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen it already. It looks incredible, and that's just made me chuckle. I think I'd enjoy this.
Yeah, it's a good time. You'll wish it was slightly funnier. There was more of a slight emphasis on the comedy side. I mean, as it is, tonally, it fits kind of somewhere in the realm of your Zombieland or your later TV seasons of What We Do in the Shadows, even though it's nowhere near as sharp as What We Do in the Shadows and nowhere near as fun as Zombieland. So it kind of sits in the middle of those two. Nicolas Cage, you'll wish was cutting loose a little bit more as well. It seems like almost a shame to have Nicolas Cage finally be Dracula on screen and just rein it in a bit. It's not to say he doesn't get his moments, but it does feel like, we want Nicolas Cage on full tilt boogie mode, and you just don't quite get that from him. He's been too respectful of the performances that have come before him, and for good reason. They aren't, there's like sacred text to the man as far as I understand it. But Nicholas Hoult, great fun leading man. There's some incredibly inventive violence in here. If, like me, you are a sick person and you really enjoy watching large numbers of people get dismembered in violent, horrific, over-the-top ways, you are going to have a ball with this one. On a more thematic level, it works very well alongside the also Nicholas Hoult-led zombie movie from 2014, Warm Bodies. And I just thought, animation helmer Chris McKay brought a pretty inventive visual palette to it, even if it's a smidge derivative of, as I say, What We Do in the Shadows and Zombieland.
I'm sold. That's it. I am sold, and I'm going to be watching that as soon as I can get to the cinema. And that's in the cinema as well, isn't it, today?
That is in cinemas from today. Do you know what? You're going to have a good time. I think it's pretty charming. And also, Ben Schwartz is in here. I love Ben Schwartz. Jean-Ralphio from Parks and Recreation.
And I'm a Nicolas Cage fan, so why wouldn't I want to go and see
Who
this?
isn't? You got two eyes and a heart, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. And of course, he's got a house down the M4 in Bath. So, I kind of claim him as local, if you don't mind the 60-mile drive. Brilliant. One cracking movie there, according to you, and one maybe not so much. But they are great. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And next week, what have we got that we can talk about?
Oh, do you know what? You're going to get me on my most excitable next week, because we're going to be talking about the return of the Evil Dead. Evil Dead Rise is in cinemas next week, and I absolutely can't wait. I'm a lifelong, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, Evil Dead guy. So this is a big moment for me, because the last time we had one of these was a remake, and that was like 10 years ago. So it's just nice to see it back.
Well, we shall talk about that and see what you think of it next week. Until then, have a lovely weekend, Van. Thanks for coming on.
Till the next time, good sir.
Thank you very much. Right, this is Ollie Murs.